Am I the butthole for suspecting my neighbor of being a serial killer? Okay, so here's the deal. I live in a relatively quiet suburban neighborhood known as Maplewood Estates, where the most exciting drama usually revolves around who forgot to take out their trash. The neighbors are friendly, and we often gather for weekend barbecues. Enter Roger, the new guy who moved in next door about 6 months ago. At first glance, he seemed relatively normal, late 30s, glasses, always wearing that same beat-up hoodie and cargo shorts. But as the days went by, I couldn't shake this feeling that something was off. It all started when I began to notice his strange habits. Roger kept odd hours. He'd leave his house at odd times, sometimes well after midnight. He often drove this old, beat-up van that looked like it had been through hell and back, and let me tell you, it wasn't just the rusty exterior that made the hairs on my neck stand up. It was the way he'd occasionally park it in front of his house, leaving the back doors slightly ajar for hours. About a month back, I noticed something even stranger. I was out mowing my lawn when I heard some muffled thumping from the direction of Roger's place. Now, I thought it might be the sound of him rearranging furniture or something, but then I caught a glimpse of him through his living room window. He was hunched over some kind of table, and I swear, I saw what looked like bags of, well, I'll let your imagination run wild. For the sake of this story, let's just say it looked suspiciously like oversized trash bags. To make things worse, he was wearing plastic gloves. So, of course, I started following him. Okay, I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. One night, he left in that creepy van, and I decided to tail him, like I was some kind of undercover detective or something. We drove for about 10 minutes, and he stopped at what appeared to be an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Now I'm really getting suspicious. I waited a while, with my heart racing, and finally, he came out with a couple of large black trash bags in tow. My mind was racing. Is this guy hiding something? That night, I found myself Googling how to spot a serial killer. Yeah, I know, and convincing myself that Roger was up to no good. Over the next few weeks, I gathered intel, little things like his reluctance to engage in simple neighborly chit-chat and the strange people I occasionally saw going in and out at weird hours. Each day, I convinced myself I was one step away from uncovering a sinister ring of crime, or worse, a real-life villain lurking in our midst. Things took a turn when I decided to involve my buddy, Dave. He's a bit of a conspiracy nut, but he's entertaining, and after all, I needed someone to validate my suspicion. We conjured up wild theories. Maybe Roger was part of a cult or running a secret body disposal operation. We laughed about it, but deep down, I felt uneasy. Fast forward to last weekend. The annual Maplewood block party arrived, and everyone was outside, including Roger, who finally decided to join us. Everyone was having a great time until someone mentioned how quiet he's been for the past few months. I barely gathered the nerve, fueled by a few drinks, to jokingly ask if he had a secret. I'm cringing even as I type this. Roger chuckled and mentioned he'd just been busy with his hobby of woodworking. He even invited me over to see his latest project, a beautifully crafted bookshelf. I felt like an absolute fool. I spent weeks suspicious of this guy for no reason. I had jumped to the worst conclusions and finger-pointed without any proof, ruining my own peace of mind. Was I really the butthole for suspecting him without ever getting to know him? After all, he turned out to be one of the nicest neighbors around. So Reddit, what do you think? Did I go too far down the rabbit hole? Am I the butthole for suspecting my neighbor of being a serial killer, or does my paranoia have some merit? Input appreciated.